evening and a very warm welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with News Tonight. Let us begin by taking a look at the headlines. Mars orbiter mission enters the red planet's orbit and sends first batch of data. India becomes first nation to make it to Mars in maiden attempt. Prime Minister hails ISRO's historic feat. President and Vice President also congratulate scientists. NASA greets Mangalyaan. Supreme Court cancels 214 coal block allocations declared illegal. Spares 4 others. Companies given 6 months' time to wrap up. Deadlock over seat sharing continues in Maharashtra. Now smaller allies of NDA object to reduced share. NCP Congress also failed to end impasse. Prime Minister to begin 5-day US visit on Thursday will address maiden speech at the UN General Assembly. Trade and investment on agenda for Modi-Obama meet. India created history today as ISRO's first Mars orbiter Mangalyaan successfully entered the orbit of the red planet, becoming the first nation to do so on its maiden attempt. ISRO joins an elite group of only 3 other agencies worldwide that have successfully reached Mars.
एक मिनट की दूरी और
(7:54 a.m.) Applause, relief, even tears of joy.
यही वो क्षण है जिसकी इसरो के सभी वैज्ञानिकों को, समूचे भारत को, समूचे राष्ट्र को प्रतीक्षा थी.
As news of the Mars orbiter mission establishing itself in the red planet's orbit was confirmed, 24 nail-biting minutes after, rockets were fired to slow it down. ISRO's maiden Mars mission, the most economical ever journey to the red planet, this one signaled many victories at once. Kudos to the country's top scientific minds.
जिस समय इस मिशन का नाम, उसका शॉर्ट फॉर्म जब मॉम बन गया, तो मुझे पूरा विश्वास था कि मॉम कभी निराश नहीं करती है. We have dared to reach out into the unknown and have achieved the near impossible.
The nation watched with bated breath. We knew that even the most marginal error could mean missing the planet by miles, throwing the orbiter into the depths of space. The final leg of the Mars orbit insertion exercise began at 4:17 in the morning. At 7:17, the firing of the liquid apogee motor, the critical step to slow down the spacecraft, got underway. This resulted in a communication blackout since the signals could not be transmitted from the spacecraft to the ground station, and there was a 12-minute delay. After an anxious wait at close to 8 a.m. as the antenna of the satellite turned towards Earth, ISRO scientists confirmed the Mars mission as successful.
बहुत खुशी हो रही है, लेकिन वो खुशी बयान नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. मतलब एकदम से विश्वास होता है कभी कि हमने अचीव कर लिया.
We are feeling out of this world, on top of this world, because everything we expected, the satellite behaved as we expected it to.
I'm too much excited. I'm very much happy. Whatever we have done, it has done very well.
By placing Mangalyaan in the Mars orbit, India becomes the first country to achieve this on its maiden attempt. It is also only the 4th country in the world after the US, the European Space Agency and the former Soviet Union in the elite club of Martian explorers. Even China and Japan have failed in their attempts earlier.
With today's spectacular success, ISRO joins an elite group of only 3 other agencies worldwide to have successfully reached to the red planet. India, in fact, is the only country to have succeeded in its very first attempt.
Fast-tracked by ISRO, Mangalyaan was made in just 15 months at a cost of 450 crore rupees or $74 million. The lowest cost interplanetary mission ever to be undertaken. A red-letter day in the annals of Indian space exploration, throwing open a new impetus for the space program ahead. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the Mars Orbiter mission has sent the first batch of data to the ground control. In the data, it is clear the events related to the orbit insertion progressed satisfactorily and the spacecraft performance was normal. The spacecraft is now circling Mars in an orbit whose nearest point to the planet is at 421.7 km, with the farthest being more than 76,000 km. The inclination of the orbit with respect to the equatorial plane of Mars is as intended. In this orbit, the spacecraft takes 72 hours, 51 minutes and 51 seconds to go round Mars once.
Yeah, the ISRO has released the data of the orbital parameters. The orbital parameters is the path which the Mangalyaan mission will take around Mars from now on. They say that it will be an elliptical orbit. So roughly about 420 kilometers and 77,000 kilometers is the orbit parameters that they have got. And also this orbit will be inclined to the equator of the Mars. It will be inclined by 150 degrees. And this orbiter will take 72 hours, 51 minutes and 51 seconds to go one round. Second, what they are saying is that for the next few weeks, they'll be testing each payload before they'll be actually deployed for the scientific work. So next few weeks, they'll be actually testing the payload in Mars conditions. Of that, of course, they have taken few photographs through the color camera. But they will also be testing the color camera before they will deploy it full.
And my colleague Frank Pereira is now joining us live from Bangalore. Frank, what a day it has been. And interestingly, just 12 hours into the orbit and Mangalyaan is busy at work. It is already sending data.
Well, it is indeed sending data. It has been an eventful day thus far, not just for the scientists, but for everyone else as well. As a nation and even the world watched with bated breath with what's likely to happen as far as the Mars Orbiter mission is concerned. It has been a historic day as far as space research is concerned. India joins an elite club of just 4 space agencies in the world right now who have sent us a successful mission to Mars. And the day, of course, started off as early as 3 a.m. The journalists, even our crew was there as early as, 3:45 a.m. in the morning. And since then, it has been a busy day at work, not just for the ISRO scientists, but for everyone tracking what's been happening closely at ISRO as well. Prime Minister Narendra Modi left the Raj Bhavan at around 6:40 a.m. this morning and was quickly taken to the mission operation complex, which is a few kilometers away from the Raj Bhavan. He was there at around 7 o'clock. The insertion of the spacecraft took place as scheduled and on time at 7:17 a.m. There was an eclipse at that point in time. The spacecraft was inserted into Mars, behind Mars, in fact, and by the time the eclipse was over, it was at about 7:42 a.m. and then immediately the data started coming back to the mission operation complex, and by around 8 a.m. a confirmation was made that everything has gone according to plan and everything was successful. In fact, the ISRO scientists were hoping to reach the orbit of Mars, so the insertion point was supposed to be 527 kilometers away from Mars, but a precision was accomplished as that was concerned as well. They reached at 512 kilometers, and it was extremely useful as that is concerned as well.
Absolutely. It was right, bang on target, and it could not get better than this. Frank, we'll just come back to you for more on this story. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the scientists from ISRO for putting India on the world map of space exploration and becoming the first to have a successful Mars mission on debut. Now, in a speech riddled with metaphors, Modi urged Indians to take pride in the achievement.
आज मॉम का मंगल से मिलन हो गया। आज मंगल को मॉम मिल गई। With today's spectacular success, ISRO joins an elite group of only 3 other agencies worldwide to have successfully reached to the red planet. History has been created today. We have dared to reach out into the unknown and have achieved the near impossible. We have gone beyond the boundaries of human enterprise and imagination. Through your brilliance and hard work, you have made it a habit of achieving the impossible. No one represents the zeal for exploring the unknown more than our space scientists here at ISRO. Every generation of our scientists has groomed the next homegrown lot. Though your achievements, you have honored our forefathers and inspired our future generations. You truly deserve all the love and respect you get from graceful nation. The success of our space program is a shining symbol of what we are capable of as a nation. Our space program has been an example of achievement.
All right, let's go back to my colleague who's joining us from Bangalore. Frank, now you've been in Bangalore since long, ever since in the run-up to the entire event. You have spoken to so many scientists, and now that MOM has been declared successful, what are the expectations really from MOM by the scientists as far as India's space program is concerned?
Well, as far as MOM is concerned, of course, the expectations have already been met. It remains to be seen how long MOM is going to be in orbit, really. Of course, the ISRO scientists are hoping, or if everything goes according to plan, the spacecraft is to orbit around Mars for about 6 months, but that period could go further as well to about 8 or 10 months is what the scientists are saying at this point in time, because most of the maneuver corrections went according to plan, so not much of the fuel that was on board the spacecraft has really been used. So the spacecraft is working in optimum condition at the moment. So if all goes according to plan, it's supposed to be in orbit for 6 months, but that could go up to 10 months as well, is what some of the scientists are saying. They're extremely happy with the mission. They're extremely proud of ISRO, and they're proud as citizens of the nation as well. And as far as space science itself is concerned, all of them, of course, coming out and saying that this is a major achievement as far as space science is concerned. And they're saying that from now on, we can only go forward, and they're hoping that some of the other missions that are set up by ISRO are all going according to plan, and are hoping that all these missions too succeed. Some of the scientists were even talking about how a rover could be sent by ISRO to Mars, and how a rover can land there and go on the surface of Mars and send back much more important data. And also both NASA and ISRO are going to collaborate now and try and share the data that both MAVEN and MOM get, and that too is going to be a significant development as far as space science is concerned.
Absolutely, Frank. In fact, a red letter day really for India as far as space science is concerned. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us all the updates. And with India joining an elite club of nations who have achieved success in interplanetary missions, praise and congratulatory messages have been pouring in from across the country and the world. The President and the Vice President have congratulated the scientists at ISRO for having achieved the near impossible. The US space agency NASA, which has also sent a mission to Mars called MAVEN, congratulated their Indian counterparts.
Scientists at the Indian Space Research Organization jubilant as they heard that their years of hard work had paid off. Congratulatory messages poured in soon after, hailing the historic achievement. President Pranab Mukherjee congratulated the team behind Mangalyaan and said the breakthrough will inspire the country's scientists to make even greater strides. In a message, he said, and I quote, "I'm sure that this breakthrough, which marks a significant landmark in our space program, will inspire our scientists to make even greater strides. Kindly convey my greetings to the members of your team of scientists, engineers, technologists and all other associated with this great mission. The nation is grateful for their hard work and proud of their accomplishment." Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari also congratulated the scientists at ISRO. In his statement, he said, "The nation is proud of their achievement." He said, and I quote, "I'm confident that our scientists will continue to scale greater heights and win more laurels for the country in the field of space exploration in the future. As we celebrate this landmark occasion, I join the entire country in saluting them on their success."
I personally believe ISRO team is very fantastic team. They have achieved Mars mission, what they planned, high success, what they expected, what they achieved.
This achievement also places India in a very elite club of advanced spacefaring nations who have reached Mars, joining Russia, USA and the European Space Agency. Its imminent success gives us, our scientists and the nation, immense satisfaction.
China also congratulated India on its low-cost mission to Mars. The mission makes India the first country in Asia to reach the red planet after an attempt by China failed to leave Earth's orbit in 2011.
我们看到了相关的报道，我们对印度的曼加里安号火星探测器成功的进入火星轨道表示祝贺。这是印度的骄傲，也是亚洲的骄傲，也是人类和平探索和利用外空取得的一个重大的进展。所以呢，我们对印度表示。
NASA also congratulated the Indian Space Agency for creating history. NASA's MAVEN had reached the orbit of Mars on Tuesday. ISRO has achieved what no space agency in the world, including NASA, managed to do in their first attempt. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it is a big day indeed for India, and Rajya Sabha TV has given you minute-by-minute updates the entire day. From eminent scientists to school children, everyone found a voice on this channel. Reactions have been coming in thick and fast through the day. We get you some of them. Take a look.
We are at the ISRO's mission control room. This is where the Mangalyaan mission was today monitored. The health of the spacecraft was checked.
Our capsule has successfully reached the orbit. The performance has been so accurate after the 300 days of idling.
It opens up a new chapter, ultimately resulting in perhaps a man landing on Mars and setting up colonies and so on.
इस पूरी गतिविधि को बहुत उत्सुकता के साथ, बहुत रोमांच के साथ यहाँ पर देखा गया और आज दिन भर इसको लेकर यहाँ पर सेलिब्रेशंस का दौर चलता रहेगा।
मैं साइंटिस्ट बनना चाहती हूँ ताकि मैं जान सकूँ कि भारत में क्या परिवर्तन हो सकते हैं।
ऐसा प्लैनेट है जो हमारे सबसे पास खड़ा है और ये भी है क्योंकि वहाँ पे जो पोल्स हैं वहाँ पे पानी पाया गया है, वहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन पाया गया है, ऑक्सीजन की मात्रा बहुत है, इसलिए मार्स को हमें एक्सप्लोर करने में बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है।
बच्चों में काफी दिलचस्पी है और इनमें से काफी बच्चे बड़े होकर साइंटिस्ट बनना चाहते हैं।
From here, where do you see the scientific community sailing now?
This will give an inspiration to all young scientists and technologists to do more and more research.
मंगलयान 2 को 2017 में छोड़ा जाएगा। एस्ट्रोसैट जो 5 डिफरेंट वेवलेंथ बैंड्स में एस्ट्रोनॉमी एंड एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स का बहुत सारे रिसर्च वर्क के हेल्प करेंगे। आदित्य बोल के हमारा जो सोलर मिशंस अभी कुछ साल से तैयार हो रहा है, इस सब को जो बूस्ट मिलेगा, that is tremendous.
Finance involved is really, mind-boggling. They were for the real big missions to explore the universe. But near-Earth orbits have been our strong point, communication satellites, which is the commercial angle to it.
इससे जो बाकी और देश जो इस क्षेत्र में कदम बढ़ा रहे हैं, उन्हें हम टेक्नोलॉजी सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करने में आगे बढ़ेंगे।
This success has a critical geopolitical significance and ramifications.
अब शायद इस एक मुकाम को पार करने के बाद और बहुत सारी कामयाबियां हैं जो भविष्य में भारत के वैज्ञानिक हासिल करेंगे।
All right, we'll take a very short break here. Coming up ahead, rower Dushyant Chauhan wins India a medal on the 5th day of the Asian Games. This and much more after a short break. Welcome back after the break. Let's move on in the bulletin now. In a major blow to the energy sector, the Supreme Court today cancelled 214 coal block allocations which were declared illegal. Now, all private firms that were allotted coal blocks between 1993 and 2011 have lost their mining rights. The court gave the owners 6 months to wind up their work.
The Supreme Court has cancelled 214 coal block allocations it declared illegal in August. The court saved only 4 blocks from being cancelled. Among them, 2 belong to NTPC and SAIL and 2 others to the Sasan Ultra Mega Power projects. 40 companies who had started operating have been given 6 months breathing time to wind up.
They have held today in their follow-through judgment that none of these companies can be allowed to continue with coal mining.
Metal stocks fell sharply after the Supreme Court verdict. Sensex also fell over 200 points before recovering. Coal miners and power producers argue that the verdict will have huge implications, putting massive investments at stake.
If a government action can be questioned by a court after 20 years, it creates the issue of trust deficit in government systems.
The government and the opposition parties have welcomed the decision by the Supreme Court.
What is more important is now there is curtains. There is a closure. Now, as the government of India wants, everything must start afresh in a fair, reasonable and proper manner.
Natural resources must be utilized in order to subserve the public purpose or the common good of all the people rather than possibly a select few.
In this judgment, the point made by the Supreme Court that coal is national wealth and the main purpose of the distribution of coal must be for public interest and public good, which is what has been violated.
The government is now free to auction or allot the blocks to central firms, but it remains to be seen how the verdict will impact the energy sector. Despite Coal India accounting for 80% of the national coal output, it is not enough to meet India's rising energy demands. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now news from Maharashtra. Well, after a brief hope of a solution to the seat-sharing crisis in the state, it is back to square one. Smaller allies of BJP and Shiv Sena are not happy with the deal struck on Tuesday. In a fresh snub, Sena also said it won't compromise on its demand for 150 seats. Meanwhile, NCP met twice today to end the deadlock with Congress, but failed.
With 3 more days left for filing nominations for the Maharashtra Assembly polls, both NDA and UPA are struggling to end the deadlock over the seat-sharing issue. In a fresh snub, Shiv Sena said that it won't back down from its demand to contest in 150 seats. Earlier, the smaller parties of the NDA alliance rejected an understanding between BJP and Sena, which reduced their share of seats.
सुबह में हमारे पार्टी की मीटिंग है आठवले साहब और उनके इसमें, तो हम उसमें क्या करने का, किसके साथ जाना है, क्या जाना है, और घटक पक्ष जो है, जो अलायंस पार्टनर है, उसने ऐसा कोई निर्णय नहीं लिया है कि किसके साथ जाना है बीजेपी के साथ। तो हम अलग
हमारी जो गठबंधन है वो रहना चाहिए, उसके ऊपर चर्चा हुई। सीटों का बंटवारा कैसा होना चाहिए, घटक पक्षों को कितना देना चाहिए, उसके ऊपर बहस हुआ, सकारात्मक चर्चा हुई।
They have been with us unconditionally. There is no question whatsoever, and in whatever situation that we can think of elections in Maharashtra without them, we have to take them along. It's our firm commitment.
Meanwhile, NCP held 2 meetings on Wednesday to end the deadlock over seat sharing with Congress. While there was no breakthrough, a final decision is expected soon.
हमने कुछ प्रस्ताव उनके पास भेजे हैं, कांग्रेस को दिए हैं, जैसे कि सीट का बंटवारा जो है 50% यहाँ, मतलब 50% वहाँ, 144 सीटें जो है हम लोग आपस में ले लें।
बातचीत काफ़ी चल रही है, दोनों पार्टी के नेता मुंबई में हैं, जो लगातार ये सिलसिला चल रहा है, बातचीत चल रही है, तो मुझे उम्मीद है कि आजकल में ये फैसला हो जाएगा, ऐसे उम्मीद है।
The rift between the two parties has reportedly grown wider following NCP's latest demand for the Chief Minister's post in case the alliance comes to power. The Congress has called it unreasonable. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will begin his 5-day visit to the US tomorrow. Apart from his maiden address at the United Nations General Assembly, he will meet US President Barack Obama besides other global leaders. Now, trade and investment would be high on Prime Minister's agenda when he meets Obama.
From meeting President Barack Obama to delivering his maiden speech at the UN General Assembly, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have his hands full during his visit to the US. He is expected to pitch India's demand for a permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council.
Prime Minister, in his address, will outline our approach to this important area, that is the post-2015 development agenda, as well as try and address issues which are of paramount importance to us and on the multilateral agenda. And these relate to, for example, the expansion and reformation of the Security Council, including India's permanent membership of an expanded Security Council.
The Prime Minister's visit is also seen as an effort by the centre to boost bilateral ties with the US on the sidelines of the UN summit. There is a very high level of expectation from Modi's meeting with President Obama.
We will be focusing on more than the others. And these would be trade and investment, energy, science and technology, defense relations, maritime security, and possible areas of cooperation between India and US with third countries.
Opposition parties also hope that Modi's meeting with Obama bears fruits while keeping India's interests intact.
We want the government to succeed in the interests of the nation, and we wish the Prime Minister a very successful visit.
हम ये अपेक्षा करते हैं प्रधानमंत्री से कि हम अपनी डिप्लोमेटिक पॉलिसी अपने हितों को सुरक्षित रखते हुए आगे बढ़ाएंगे.
Modi will also hold talks with over 15 top American corporate honchos in an effort to attract more overseas investments. Among them are the top executives from Google, Boeing, IBM, Goldman Sachs, MasterCard and Pepsi. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to sports now. Rower Dushyant Chauhan was the lone bright spot for India on the 5th day of the Asian Games at Incheon. Chauhan won the bronze in the men's lightweight single sculls event. He led for the most part of the race, raising hopes for a gold medal. But strong winds and rain forced him to drop back by 2 positions. Meanwhile, the shooting team drew a blank after a good outing on Tuesday. India's top shuttler Saina Nehwal and PV Sindhu also opened their campaign in the individual competitions with thumping victories. At the end of day 4, India has dropped to 14th position with an overall tally of 12 medals. China leads the pack with 114. Well, that's all in this edition of News Tonight. Thanks for watching. Good night.